All right, guys. Tonight, it was a good night. We didn't know what the heck to talk about at the beginning, but then we come out with some cool stuff. And Martin's going to explain about that.
Shout outs for those who are listening. You know your names. Don't make me say it. Thank you, guys. Corey Harpin, #1 listener. There is nothing to explain, guys. Enjoy the ride. Bada bing, bada boom. We're on like Donkey
I
Kong.
thought we were supposed to look
Welcome. What's up, Elias?
Hey, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
All right,
Doing
man.
fantastic.
Thank you for the food, Martin. It was great.
Of course.
I haven't eaten, what is that?
Sausages?
Sausage.
In a long time.
I've never seen anybody eat a sausage without chewing it before.
I didn't want to see sausage.
So, what kind of sausages do you like?
I think they were like Italian sausage. They were a little spicy.
Mm.
Were they? Nah, they were not spicy. They were sweet.
Mm-hmm.
They were good. They were good.
Pretty good, though.
Robert Tucci, thank you for joining us today. How are you, sir?
You know, I've been better, man. I've been better.
You had a rough week.
Oh, it's been pretty rough.
Rough.
You want to talk about it? I think you figure out how to talk in the back of that mic again. No joke.
Talk in the back of it?
You are talking to the back of it again with all the adjustments.
How's that?
There you go. That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
one.
Is that better?
That is beautiful right there, my friend. So you had a rough week, right? Well, I think here's the problem, man. Why would you try to change your own transmission?
Well, let me tell you. I went to school to be a mechanic. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you didn't. That's the key. That's a
To
pretty big
save
job.
money, man. I mean, what do you
You
do?
did-
Everything you do.
No, you didn't. You didn't went to school to be a mechanic, right?
No,
No.
absolutely
Well, I
not.
get it. No,
I
I
don't
know. I
know.
totally.
Maybe you
think,
took a couple of courses of mechanic. I don't know.
I think it's great that you did, but it's a pretty big job to do, and you actually did it right. So I'm pretty impressed because that's like saying, you know what, I want to. You know what, the building my house is kind of hard, so I'm just gonna expensive. I'm just gonna build my own house. Like there's certain things that are just very
I
hard.
feel like building a house may be a little more difficult.
I don't know, man.
Maybe you need to count a little bit more people.
Yeah,
I'm sure- I mean,
it
the-
takes a little bit more time too.
I mean, the Amish do it.
The Amish?
The Amish do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, with like a few people, they don't have anything.
Well, they don't build cars. They have horses and buggies. So
Yeah, how good of a? I don't know. I never been. Have you been to an Amish house?
yeah.
Yeah, how they're good. They look.
You know, they look. If you imagine what would houses look like back in like the 1700s.
Without a level, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, some of them have levels, but like it's just straight wood.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
straight wood.
Like a coffin.
Yeah.
Dude, I could do it all. I could do it all except the bathroom outside. That's where I draw the line. Like I gotta go take a shit outside, dude. Are you serious? Like that's.
Yeah.
You know, why did you stop there? Why didn't you stop at the point of technology in
Well,
which there was bathrooms inside?
It-
Because it seems like an arbitrary place to stop. Like they're not against technology. They just. Do you know? Does anybody know why the Amish stopped there? They just
They-
pick that random point in
I
time.
guess they don't want they.
I think it's like the assistance of man-made things in the house. I mean, they make certain exceptions for stuff, obviously, but I don't know the exact like philosophical reason. No.
Yeah, so they're obviously not okay with going further in technology, but they got to a point of technology, so it's really strange.
It is pretty strange. You're right.
What are the Amish? I'm looking it up. What are the Amish not like to shave their penises? They're not, sorry, technology. So what happened, man?
Well, they don't use electricity, so by they not using it, they don't use electricity.
Is
right?
that it? Is that it?
So by
Well, so,
not using electricity, how can you have technology?
So it's strange because they'll use technology for certain stuff. Like, for example, they'll make an exception if they have to hire like a contractor to repair a roof or something that uses an electric nail gun or something.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they can use your tools. They just can't have them themselves.
Right,
They'll use
yeah.
their tools all day.
Yeah, so like stuff like that, which I always found kind of weird. Like that's a weird loophole, you know?
Well, I guess they want to live that type of life, but
Mhm.
sometimes they know it's way easier the other way, and they're like, let's just
Right.
take advantage of this that we can take advantage.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna change our whole system just because we need something right now.
Exactly.
Like, you know,
Mhm.
so we're just gonna take advantage of something that we can take.
Yeah, dude. And in New York, where my wife is from, there's a ton of Amish, and if you hire them to do something, because they'll come to your house and they'll like fix shit and whatnot. They're like the Mexican people up there for real. Like that's who they. But if you like let them in the house, and next thing you know, you look and they're in your tractor and they're driving the tractor around without asking you. They'll grab all your shit and they just start using it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and then they leave water bottles everywhere too. They just like dump it on the ground. It's very weird, very strange.
They don't know social customs, you know, in modern society. So it's really hard for them to fit in. I mean, you see the same thing with Amish children going to college. They're the ones that choose to go to college anyway.
Well, see, that's fucked up because what they do is they give you 1 year in which you can go and experience the world, and you want to come back if you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. But then they didn't let you go to school or anything before, so you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So obviously you're not gonna like it. So they're setting you up for not liking it.
Right. Your frame of reference is completely, you know, entangled with that Amish way. So how in the hell do you know anything different? You know.
Yeah, because of religion, they have a loophole, and they don't have to make him go to school.
Yep.
So after a certain time, like you're like really young, and you don't have to go to school anymore. So they're not like adjusted. They're not well adjusted members of society, but they do give him a year to go try it out. Have you ran into an Amish in school before?
Not in school, no.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one at the university or anything.
The only time I've ran into Amish is when I went to your wedding.
Yeah.
Well, in order to go to college and things like that, don't they have to have like some type of high school diploma?
Right. No. Well, so the idea there is that if they did go out into society and they liked it, they could stay out. They don't have to come back.
Okay.
But I don't know what the percentage of.
Yeah, it's
Amish
very
people-
difficult because they have their whole community. They probably have their their friends there, like if like a girl or something. It's like so they probably always go back to their
They're like,
people people they grew up with. Like I'm from Argentina. Like if I wouldn't have the need of being better, of being if I'm good wherever I was, like if my parents were good in Argentina, and they didn't need absolutely to be better economically, there will be no need for me to move out of there. But if they're fine and they like how they live, what's the need of us moving to a different, doing something different? Sometimes you think like, oh, they're not happy. Well, they might be happy doing what they're doing. They might be happy living the way they live.
Yeah, they're happy with their asshole dirty and shit because they have to poop outside.
Well, it's not like they probably don't mind. It's like I
No.
prefer to poop outside and not inside the house.
Maybe their diet
Like
is so
everybody's
good.
smelling my shit. Like everybody's gonna be smelling your shit. Like that's what the bathrooms are outside. You wake up
Yeah.
at 3 a.m. to take a shit, and then
Nobody
the whole
gives
house
shit.
smells like shit.
You probably eat mad organic, so it doesn't even like stick to your ass. It goes like right out like dogs. It's just like you have the best diet. Everything's like from the ground, grown. Like it just literally grew and I ate it.
Salt of the earth.
But I bet you that the first time that you leave Amish town and you see a TV, you're like your mind is fucking mind blown. I can only imagine. You're like, oh my god, dude, this is the nicest thing ever.
Bro,
Is that a computer? Let me see it. Can I touch your computer? Don't take a picture of me though. They don't like to be. You can't take pictures of them.
I'm trying to figure it out in which way will we see that stuff. Like when you go somewhere else, or
I was like, I was getting running into aliens, dude. I'm
probably.
like, damn. Where were the aliens take a shit? If we take a shit inside and we have indoor plumbing, where were the aliens take a shit?
Dude, they don't take shits.
They just like they don't even.
It
need
just
to.
materializes out of their body.
That'd be sweet.
They probably don't even eat. They're just able to like absorb the energy they need from the universe.
Wow, that's deep, bro.
That's a good point right there.
Absorb it. I like the word absorb it. Hey, I'm gonna absorb this energy real good. I'm gonna absorb you all the way, dude. So what happened? What happened to your car?
Oh God!
You told us the story already.
How do we get from the Amish back to?
Because the
Did an
Amish.
Amish guy fix your car?
Because you're trying
Seems
to.
like he did. He didn't read a text message.
We spent like 30 minutes on just talking about the Amish.
Because you try to fix your own car like the Amish would.
Anyway,
You gotta take it to
So,
a certified
you
dealer,
know.
sir.
I bought a beater recently. 2002 BMW 530i.
Yeah.
Manual transmission, my favorite.
Mm.
And for those of you who aren't acclimated to BMW nomenclature,
Hmm?
This is the E39 5 Series.
E39 5 Series.
Which is a legend in the BMW community. Handles beautifully, has great power, great maneuvering, great dynamics. So like it's my favorite BMW. So I bought it, it was like $2,000. Like it has some cosmetic issues, but it had a lot of upgrades to it too. It has a lot of Dynon parts. And Dynon's a aftermarket parts supplier, performance parts supplier for BMWs. So, like, it has a lot of good parts to it. It has some bad parts. Obviously, the bad parts were that it needed some work done. So, I bought it knowing that.
Was the car running when you got it?
The car was running. Oh,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Running.
But, like, the cooling system needed to be addressed, and that's very common for these cars. Also, like, the suspension was, probably a couple dozen miles or 100,000 miles out of date, so I needed to address that.
When you say adjust, is it like tightening something up or replacing the
replacing, yeah.
replacing? Okay,
So
okay.
here's all of the work that I ended up doing. I replaced the front suspension on it, wheel bearings.
You end up doing the suspension yourself?
Yeah.
I heard that that's something very dangerous to do because I don't know if does it have a spring system?
So
That can blow up. Right?
No, it can be taking it out and the spring can hit your face.
So I did not replace the struts and the springs.
Okay.
So like that part I did, but I did get a spring compressor in case I needed to do that, but I didn't need to do it. So
Okay.
but it can be it can be dangerous. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
The trick is like getting the right tool to like compress the spring.
Exactly. So it won't be jumping on your face. You can be like you remove the tire, then you see the springs there,
Right.
and if you have
blows
to,
out.
if you unscrew something and you're not supposed to unscrew that one, that spring might hit you in your face, and that's something that's very
Right.
tight because it's holding a 3,000-pound car.
Yeah.
That's
So imagine that spring is all that pressure, and if you take the screw out, it would just hit you in your face and probably can kill you.
insane.
So it's dangerous.
So I did the control arms for that. I replaced the steering rack on it, which, taking the steering rack out, I actually figured I had to replace the lower steering column as well because it was basically fused onto the steering rack. That's another story. Anyway, so I did that, replaced all of the power steering components, like all the hoses, everything, because they were kind of leaky. Replaced some seals and like gaskets and stuff for oil leaks. And like address some stuff with the engine. I had to take the intake manifold off to replace a couple of the cooling lines. So it was a lot of work, but the biggest part of it was probably the clutch. I ended up having to replace the clutch.
Did that took a while to break after you bought it?
Yeah, so I like the clutch felt fine to me. Like I did not think I would have to replace the clutch for a while. But actually right after I took the bar in July, the last day of the bar, when I'm driving home, the pedal felt a little weird to me. And so when I got home, I could tell that there was a little bit of bearing noise. So it was probably the throwout bearing. But, at that point I'm like, I'm about to put this car up on jack stands anyway, so I might as well just go ahead and do it. Well, fast forward 2 months.
Okay.
That's how long it took to do everything. Because, I'm working in the meantime, so like I could only do this on the weekends.
Okay.
But yeah, replacing the clutch was probably the hardest part, just because, the extent of my car repair knowledge prior to doing this project was like I replaced the cooling system on another car.
Okay.
I've replaced brakes before. I've done a lot of interior stuff like put sound systems in, take seats out, put new leather on, stuff like that. But I've never done like a ton of engine work. I've never done a ton of transmission work. So I definitely did my research before going into it. But even with that, it's a lot of work to like take a transmission off.
Yeah. And it's heavy, right?
It is heavy, and you have to buy a specific type of jack for it.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but I definitely recommend it.
To be more comfortable.
So did
it
you-
sucks not to have the right tool.
Oh man, absolutely.
It
So
sucks
you
to
bought a
not
bunch
have
of
the right
tools, so
tool.
what are you gonna do with those tools now? You sell them?
So I haven't sold them. I mean, like they're good to keep around, right? Because
You never know when you got to take your transmission off again.
exactly, you never know. And like I have a parts car now that used to be my mom's car, and it's the same car, essentially. So like now I can just take those parts off and keep them in case I need them or sell them. So. So anyway, yeah, I replaced, but I didn't just replace everything with like generic parts. I went all out. I mean, with the clutch, I got a performance clutch kit. I got a lightweight flywheel. So like all of that, all those components put in there, and that was supposed to help with like the power delivery to the wheels, but also like the feeling of the clutch. So
it would give you a little more torque.
A little bit more, yeah. Because those cars come with a dual mass flywheel standard.
Okay.
So I was basically cutting the flywheel weight in half, which there's a lot of physics that go into it, but like the rotational mass of the flywheel is a lot less, therefore the much more power can be delivered to the wheels. I say much more, it's probably on the order of like maybe 20, the equivalent of like maybe 20 horsepower.
Okay.
So anyway, long story short, got that all back together, and it's driving beautifully. I mean, this is like the best car I've ever driven. And I've had a really nice BMW, like newer BMW, before, a 2011 335 IS. And like, I love the thing. I mean, it's like the shifts are crisp, the body is tight. I can take those corners fast. Like, I'm really loving life. Well, fast forward.
I can imagine yourself like driving on the road, all happy, like, hey,
I made it.
Big smile on my face, like life is good.
Were you like at no point like thinking, did I fuck something up?
Not one time.
Not even crossed my mind.
The thought did not even enter my mind.
That's that wide man confident man. I would be like,
are you Argentinian, man?
I'd be like, yo, maybe something. Like, I looked this up on YouTube, but it didn't really make sense. But anyway,
you don't have any screw left.
Yeah, like
screws? No,
there were no leftover
no.
screws.
No.
Not one leftover screw.
Nope. Not one.
That's good.
Zero.
There's some skills there.
Wow,
man.
that's. I would have had at least one.
I tell you what though, I like filled up a dumpster with Ziploc bags, just like
shit.
sorting all the bolts and screws. But
Dang.
no, I kept good organization because you have to doing a job like that. Otherwise, you're definitely gonna mess something up.
Yeah.
So fast forward 700 miles, and then this was just like I think 2 weeks ago, roughly, and I'm driving to work in the morning. This is like a Thursday, and it's a little hard to shift, But I didn't think anything of it because it was a cold morning, and like sometimes that happens with manual transmissions where it's like he just needs a little bit of time to warm up. So, I wait, and then as I'm leaving to do some errands after work, it's like harder to shift. And I'm like, that's weird. So I'm like, well, okay, maybe it just needs to be warmed up, like again. So like I'm driving, and it just keeps getting harder and harder and harder to shift.
Like when you say keep getting, like in days or on the same time?
Same day.
Same day. Okay.
We're talking maybe like 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
So it's not a long period of time.
Okay.
So, and then eventually, I cannot shift at all. So like I'm pressing the clutch pedal, but the gear selector is not going into any gear. Okay. And what was weird was the clutch pedal felt fine to me. It felt great. Like you would think if it was something wrong with like the clutch, it would be with the hydraulics because something isn't right to where the clutch isn't disengaging from the transmission. Okay. So like I'm like, oh crap, what's going on? I managed to get the car parked, and like I can't figure it out. I look at the clutch fluid level, which it shares the same fluid as the brake system.
Okay, so were you able to have the car in neutral?
Yes.
Okay, so the car was moving forward. You were like on 540 or in the highway? Or you were
thankfully, I wasn't on the highway. I was like actually almost to my last destination, and I was able to pull off into the parking lot.
Okay.
But yeah, so like I could get it in the neutral. It was hard to do that though.
Okay.
But I could not get it to go into gear.
Okay.
So I knew something was wrong with the clutch system. I just didn't know what. And like obviously you don't want to force it into gear on a manual because you're going to mess up the synchros. But so like I look at the fluid level, and that's the first thing you should always do. By the way, if anything's wrong with your clutch system or if the pedal feels a little weird, look at your fluid level. And the fluid level's fine. So I had replaced the slave cylinder, so I knew nothing was wrong with that. So I started thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, what in the world could have gone wrong? And the only thing I could think of was a small part that I replaced on what's called the release arm or the release fork, depending on who you ask. So the release arm is actually what you press when you push the clutch pedal. Okay? So what happens is when you push the clutch pedal, the slave cylinder has a piston that comes out and pushes on the release arm.
For the gear to go in.
Yeah, and the release arm pushes on what's called the throwout bearing, and the throwout bearing pushes on the pressure plate. The pressure plate has this mechanism in the inside, and that is what disengages the clutch or pushes it away from the transmission. So that's like, clutch 101 for you. So I knew right away that it had to be something involved with that because the hydraulics were fine. Like the pedal felt great. Normally if it's the master cylinder or the slave cylinder, you're going to feel something with the pedal. That's wrong. Pedal was great. Fluid level was great. So obviously there was no air in the system, or like there was no, the pedal still felt good. And I wasn't hearing any weird noises. And like normally you think, okay, well if it's the pressure plate or the clutch or like maybe it's the bearings, you're going to hear some sort of noise. And worse and interesting still, I could start it up in gear. So like car's off, I put it in first gear and I start the car and it would drive in first gear. So the clutch is fine. The clutch is clearly fine. So is the flywheel. Pressure plates maybe not okay depending on what happened, but the first thing that jumps in my mind is that release arm. Because I remember when I replaced that part, that it's called a pivot pin. So the way the release arm works is there's two sides to it. One side is where the slave cylinder pushes on it, right, with that piston. The other side is where it has this pivot pin that pivots on the transmission bell housing. Well, I replaced that pivot pin with a metal one, and it didn't fit as tight as the old plastic one that was in there. And that, I didn't really think anything of it at the time. Like, oh, well, they know what they're doing, like the manufacturer of it. So, I didn't think anything of it, but
it turned out to be too small.
But just sitting there thinking about like what could have gone wrong, that's the only thing that I could think of. So, I ended up taking it to a shop in Cary. Won't disclose the name, because we're going to have more words about them later.
We have too many listeners. You're right. It's probably better that you don't say it.
But so take it to them, and long story short, they do some diagnosis and they figure out it was the pivot pin. In fact, not only was it the pivot pin, but there was a manufacturer defect with the pivot pin.
Well, let me ask you something, dude. You just thought about.
Yeah.
You could have fixed this yourself. You could have gone back and because you have all the tools and stuff.
I could have.
But just mentally, you just couldn't fucking do it again.
Well, no. I didn't know what happened, for sure. And I didn't want to get into it without knowing.
But like you could have, I guess you could have taken it all apart again and check it out.
I could have, but I didn't have the time, and I was moving.
Oh,
right?
The moving part, yeah. Because for me, mentally, I don't think I could take it. Like, if I would have undertook that humongous project, I would have been demoralized when it came down. Like,
yeah.
Like, fuck it, I'm never opening that car again in my life.
Well, that was
burn down that car.
That was part of it, too, yeah. Like, no one wants to jump into that again after spending 2 months on it,
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah, that was definitely a component of it. But, long story short, they found that it was a manufacturing defect. Specifically, it was machined wrong on the part on the end of it that goes into the transmission. So like it was a loose fit. And when they took the transmission off, the release arm just fell down. It was completely loose, and that shouldn't happen when you take it off. So anyway, so, they said, oh, no, that's the problem. Like, everything else looks good. This is the cleanest car we've had because, I like to keep my cars clean. But
you cleaned it inside?
Oh, yeah, dude. I cleaned the whole transmission. Absolutely. And that...
It's just that if you have any loose screws, something touching on the transmission, then...
Yeah.
It can ruin the whole job.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the outside, cleaning the outside or the
outside, inside,
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Cleaned it all. So that thing looked like straight aluminum when I was done. Anyway.
Brand new.
Brand new.
Okay, but you say it was a fabric defect? Manufacturer defect?
Yeah.
But that car has been driving since 2002, though.
Well, it was the part that I bought.
The new one.
The part that I bought that
had the manufacturing defect.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So, long story short, they put the new piece in, put everything back together. Actually, real quick. So, they're sending me all these texts while they're doing the work, right? And I'm like, okay, well, damn, that's like really shocking that they would just send out a piece that had that defect in it, because this is a really well-known company. I mean, this is ECS Tuning, right? They sell, probably billions of dollars a year. But
man, there's where I go. Like, you work on your transmission, you buy the part, you trust on the part, you did all this work.
Yeah.
What do you think about suing this company selling this stuff, man?
Yeah, I do
like all the time you invested there. It's like, what do you mean? You sold, how many of these things you're selling, and you're just selling the wrong, something that is defective.
Can you sue them? Can you go and be like, hey,
well,
I did
who knows? But I will tell you this: they'll do the right thing.
They would probably, okay, here's a new part. Okay, but you know how long it took me to replace that part?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
right. No, I get what you're saying, and I they're definitely going to hear from me. All right,
definitely, man.
I don't know if it's going to be a lawsuit, but they're definitely going to hear from me one way or the other, because this is not cool.
They're going to get an email, angry.
They're going to get it back.
But do you think they'll compensate your time?
I can't speculate on that. I don't know.
You think they should?
But. I think that I think if it is a manufacturing defect and it caused that, which the mechanic told me it did, then they should compensate me for having to repair it.
You should post this podcast on the forums.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that, man.
Why? That way
can I finish my story, please?
You expose it. No, you're putting us to sleep, bro.
Oh my god.
Well, yeah, finish it quick, come on. So what happened?
You're the one that wanted me to talk about it.
No, I want to hear it.
You heard the same story 3 times. That's why you're falling asleep.
No, that's true. So what happened?
Anyway, so all right, but they're sending me all these texts, and I tell them, guys, I want you to check the pressure plate, the clutch, and the flywheel to make sure that there's no other damage, because this release arm came off when I'm driving, right? So I knew right away there had to have been some other damage. There just had to have been. Like, it couldn't have just been the release arm fell off and that's it. Because it got progressively worse. So, they sent me this picture after I said that. And it showed a scrape on the pressure plate. And I told them that scrape was not there when I installed it. Right?
Those motherfuckers.
And they just and
oh, but you told them to check it out, right?
Yeah, I told them to check out the pressure plate, clutch, flow. And so they should have known to look and investigate a little more after I said that, right? And just to give you an idea, it's not that hard to take the pressure plate off. It is 6 screws. We're talking maybe 5 minutes.
So, dang. You're probably
yeah, but it was 5 minutes taking it out.
They didn't think it mattered.
They realizing that it was bad. and then they gotta wait for the part, and then they can put it together. So the easy thing for the shop was like, yeah, whatever, we change the things that we said we were gonna change. Let's put this back together. If it works, work. If it's not, like they were. I guess they were not. They were not as cautious.
They're probably
making sure that it was gonna be fine.
You're probably like a nightmare client or customer for them because you know what the like every time I take my car, like if I would have taken my car to the mechanic and they're like, yeah, we put it back together, it didn't work, we don't know what's wrong with it. We need to take it back out and charge you another $1,200. I would have been like, what? Like, okay. Like I wouldn't know. Like,
but
I showed you the scraped monoflower. What is it called?
The pressure plate.
The pressure plate. I showed you the pressure plate. Did you not get my text about the pressure plate? By the way, those guys have a horrible technique by texting you.
I know.
Because they could have just called and not have anything in writing. So now they're fucked.
Well, you know what? I like this shop though, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I like them, because one, they do that, right? They text you these pictures to let you know what's going on and all that. But also, they have a 4.9 rating on Google. And it's like 300 reviews. Like these are the best. This is the best shop in Raleigh. And they know their shit, right? They're not the cheapest by any means. But that's why I took it there, because I wanted the best, and I wanted it done the first time. I wanted it done right the first time.
So are they saying it's not?
So your expectations were very high.
Very high.
Are you saying that are they saying it wasn't the pressure plate?
Okay, so we haven't even gotten to the best part yet. All right,
okay,
so
the best part is coming, guys.
The slap is about to come.
So, all right, so they're like, they didn't check out anything. They didn't investigate. I didn't know that. I thought they did, but anyway, fast forward, they put everything back together. Okay, and we're talking like $1,200 in labor charges here just to remove and install the transmission. So they put everything back together, and lo and behold, they turn the car on, and it won't go into gear. The same problem that we had when I took the car in. And so, I think they were sitting on it for maybe a day or two, just to like see if there was anything they could do without removing the transmission again.
It's a relay. You gotta be a relay.
Right. Maybe it's like the slave cylinder that he just replaced. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's not tight enough. We gotta tie that. Let's tie it a little bit tighter.
Hey George, put a new tire on there. Let's see.
Did you pay the taxes on this car? It's a tax. Are the papers okay? Yeah, there's gotta be something.
No.
Yeah.
So then they reach out to me by text. They didn't call me, and I think that should have been a phone call. But they texted me and they were like, "Hey Robert, just so you know, we got everything back together and turned the car on, and it's still not working. We've thought of everything, and the only thing we can come up with is that either the pressure plate or the clutch is damaged."
Well, hopefully it was the pressure
right.
plate that
When
told
you
me
heard...
about. Hey, what if it's the clutch? Then you're fucked. You gotta take it. Well, but see,
no, but they would have known if it was the clutch or the pressure plate if they had just took the pressure plate off. That's
how did they not check anything else? Like before, even if you didn't tell them, what was their plan? They were just 100% sure.
They were expecting for it to work.
It was like, it's this for sure.
So they just thought it was just the pin. Like obviously, that pin was the problem. That pin caused all of the damage. But they didn't know the full extent of the damage. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
So they didn't investigate any further to figure out what other kind of damage was done to the system, because that release arm fell off,
Yeah.
So so like I have the guy call me, and like this was just tonight, and I'm sitting there and he's explaining everything to me for a good half an hour. And the whole time I'm sitting there going, why is he explaining this to me? I know how the system works. I know how a pressure plate works. I know how a clutch works. What I don't understand is why you guys did not just take the time to take those 6 screws out just to verify that everything was okay, especially after I had asked you to do so. You know?
So what did they say when you told them you weren't paying for it, right?
Well, he eventually got to the part where he never said that I would have to pay for it. Here's what he said. He said, "Dude, we tried everything that we can think of, and we're not going to charge you for that, of course. But at this point, we're thinking the transmission's going to have to come off again." And I said, "Sir, y'all need to make this right. I took it to you for a reason, because you're the best, and I wanted it done right the first time."
I like how you did that. You made him feel like, you're the best.
Yeah.
A good strategy. I like that.
And
But it was the best one he found, right?
yeah.
No, but you got to let him know, like, it's like a little bit like,
Yeah,
put the pressure on it. You guys are the best. I like it.
Yeah.
Anyone else? So this is what this guy was, a good salesperson.
So, and he's like,
Flip it on them.
and so he's trying to like convince me that the technician did not do anything wrong. And I said, of course he didn't. Not intentional. But he was negligent. He did not investigate further to make sure that nothing else was damaged. And so we ended it on basically.
Yeah, because
Did it get weird? Was it
when
weird?
when you took the transmission there, it's like, look, I want you to fix my transmission.
Yeah, well,
the
clutch
or do you tell them, look, I want you to change this pin? You say, no, I want you to make my transmission to work.
Yeah. I
So
said,
you're like, okay, you charge me $1,200, and you told me by changing these things, the transmission is going to work. Even though if you haven't mentioned it, okay, I shouldn't pay you
yeah.
because the transmission is still not working.
Even if I hadn't mentioned it, you're right. Even if I didn't say, I want y'all to look at these things just to make sure they're still in functional condition, they should have done that regardless, because it is so easy to look in those parts to make sure they're still okay, right? So the way he described it to me was, well, he found the obvious thing that was wrong, and he repaired it. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Like, he found the cause. Wonderful. But you don't know the full extent of the damage.
Yeah.
So he's going to talk to the service manager, technician manager, whatever it is tomorrow. And
He probably was the service manager. And he's like, I gotta talk to someone else. I gotta think over this.
Hey,
like, who's on top of me? Shit, I'm on top of everybody over here.
Hey, but he did a great job changing that pin, though, man. That pin got changed real hard.
No, I'm saying, like, sometimes you take something, it's like, oh, you take something to a mechanic and you expect, like, okay, if you tell me this is what's wrong with the car, and you expect for it to, like, make my car work, it's like, mechanics are such a headache, man. They are. It's so hard to find a good mechanic.
Well,
and you find the best mechanic and you still have problems.
Yep.
And you know what? It's because you
and
know
that's
what the fuck is going on. Like, the reason it's hard is because you don't know what the fuck is going on. Every time you go, they tell you they need this and that, and it's going to be this, and you don't know. Well, I mean, is it true? I don't. Like, if you hadn't done all that research, what would have happened is you would have taken it there. They said, okay, we can fix it. And then, well, actually, it would have been better. Because they're going to be like, hey, we're going to fix it for X amount. And then they call you back in, what are they going to say?
Well, so I think the way they normally operate is like they tell you what the problem is,
Okay.
and like they say we think this is the problem.
Okay, so
You
let's do it with me. Okay, I don't know shit. I don't know shit about transmissions, right?
All right.
And I take my car there, and they're like, "Hey, we think it's this pin, and we're gonna change it, and it's gonna work." Right? Are they?
They don't say it's gonna work.
So what do they say?
They say, we found that this pin has a problem to it. It caused the release arm to fall out. So we need your permission to repair it, basically.
Okay, there you have it. But then it's up to me as a consumer to be like, if you repair it, could you potentially have to take it out again?
Well, so you would at that point you would say, okay, well, is that going to fix the problem, right?
Right.
And then they would say, well, there's no guarantee.
So there's your answer.
But in my situation, I told them, I want you to look at the clutch, the pressure plate, and the flywheel. I want you to look at them because we need to make sure that they're not damaged. You know?
So the only thing that can kind of happen for them to charge you more is like, well, the pressure. What's the name of the thing?
The pressure plate.
The
The
pressure power.
plate is,
Can we call it power?
you know,
power?
it's no damage. It was something else.
Yeah.
So right there, they can be like, look, we got to replace something else. It's not.
Well, I would say if it's the pressure plate, the clutch, or the flywheel, then I should not have to pay, right? Because I told them to investigate all
to
three.
check.
Now, if it's something else, you know, that's another story. It depends on what it is, but
Yeah, man. It's always good to do your research. I was telling here the guys that, you know, I have a Harley Davidson, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna work on my bike. I'm gonna send it to Harley Davidson to get it fixed. And I know I wasn't getting any oil on the engine, so so it can be a sensor, it can be a relay, it can be a something very simple. So I was like, let me take it there and see what they said. So they called me like, look, we're gonna replace the how do you call those little safety things? So it doesn't burn something. You have a
safety things.
A safety pin?
it's a safety, like, so it won't burn the whole car. It will just burn that little. It's like something that has like 2 pins.
I've never heard of it.
It has like 2 pins.
So it's like a safety
with
mechanism.
a metal,
So that'll burn and nothing else.
and it will burn.
Oh, you're
it
talking
with-
about a fuse.
a fuse. A
Oh my
fuse.
gosh, you're right. I knew that one.
So
You're
if-
right.
So they were like, we're gonna replace a fuse and a sensor, and for the fuse and the sensor, it's gonna be $250.
God damn.
And I'm like, is that gonna solve the? Is that gonna be it? And they're like, you know, man, changing a fuse and changing a sensor is something so simple. But I was like, you know what? Just do it. I'm gonna pay $200. Just do it. I just want my bike to work. And they replaced that, and they were like, well, hello. You know, they call you back and like, we replace the sensor, we replace the switch, we replace the fuse, and still not getting any oil to the engine. And I'm like, okay, so we have to take out the engine pump is bad, or the oil pump is bad. And I was like, okay, how much that's gonna be? That's gonna be $4,500 because we have to take the whole engine apart to replace the oil pump. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go pay there for the $250. I was like, I should have, you know, just done it myself, and just don't have to pay that. And that was something so simple to do, you know. I was like, mechanics, man.
So
just
you
wanna
paid
slap
the
them in the
but you
face.
paid the $250. But
Yeah,
your bike
because
didn't
like they
work.
actually call you like every step, like they actually go step by step. What's the simple things to do, and then they go to the.
So
to
you
the hardest
ended
things.
up paying the $250, but then going home and doing the pump yourself.
Yeah.
So at least they told you what was wrong with it, because you would have never known what was wrong with it.
Eventually, well, I kind of knew it was I kind of like, I had a sense that it was that, but I'm not a mechanic, so you kind of, I know what's wrong, but I don't trust myself enough to actually put my hands on it,
Exactly.
you know?
Yep.
So I was like, okay, a mechanic told me they know what they're saying, supposedly, or they just, you know, they just go step by step. They go by the book. They say, okay, first we're gonna check the relays. First we check the fuse, then we check the relays, then we check the part. You know, so probably the part is the last thing they check. You know, if energy getting to the part, you know, like is the part actually working? Whatever it is, I don't know. So, yeah, man, it kind of sucks sometimes.
But you
I
ended
ended up
up
fixing it myself.
You ended up fixing it yourself.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was hard, but I saved at least $4,000.
Bro, years ago, I was in Western Boulevard, and I took my truck to get an oil change. I had the biggest piece of shit truck for years.
That was a good truck, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Chevy
S10.
S10, 1991. I got it for $1,100 when I was in high school, and I sold it for, I think, $900 like 10 years later.
And you regret it right
And
now.
I love that truck. But I took it to this place, and
It's a good truck. man.
$30 oil change. So I took it to take the oil change, and you know the wheels chicked a little bit. So I was like, oh, but you know when they do the $30 oil change, it's because they want to like try to sell you something else. Like they're not making any money out of the oil change. They just want to get you in there, and they want to say, hey, you need new windshield wipers or whatever, and that's how they make their money. So I'm waiting there. This is not a super nice shop, but it's not a bad shop either. I don't know. It's sort of in between. It's like the college area. I wait, and the guy's like, "Hey, your wheel bearings are fucked up." And I don't remember how much it was, but he gave me a prize that I, at the time, being in school and working in restaurants, it was just like a ridiculous amount. It might have been like $300. And at the time for me, that was just like, it was taking me out of commission to get $300. I don't know if this guy was used to people saying yes to him, like College Town. I should have called my daddy, and my daddy would have been like, "Hey, Steven, yeah, of course. You can pay the $300 and we'll get your truck fixed." But I told him, "That's great, man. Thank you for letting me know, but I can't do it right now." This guy was furious, bro. Furious.
Yeah.
Like, what? You're not going to change your wheelbarrow? You're endangering everybody around you. I cannot let you live here without... And, like, he, like, made a scene, and I'm like, I'm a kid at the time, and I'm just like, sorry, man. Like, I'm not... Like, and part of me was like, I don't have $350, dude. I literally don't. So you can make all the fucking noise you want. But anyways, he made me sign a paper before I left. That if anything happened, that he had told me that the fucking wheel was gonna come off, like that, and it was the wheel bearing. Long story short, I went and bought the wheel bearing for $9, and so a Mexican guy installed it for $45. And I could. It was.
I don't
crazy.
know why people don't like Mexicans over here, man.
No, they're awesome.
I don't know, man. They're freaking awesome.
And the truck ran forever. But dude, it was so embarrassing with this guy. Was like hollering in there, and there was other people waiting, and he was like, "Fuck, you are endangering the community!" Yeah, man.
Was it
It was a white guy.
Of course.
It was a white angry male, white devil. Devil.
Did he have a Trump poster in his,
No,
in
this
his
is
window?
this is like 10 years ago.
I mean, hey, that doesn't
Man,
matter.
these cars always have a problem, especially when you have in. I guess that's one of the good things about buying a new car from the dealership.
You're absolutely right.
It's like you're not gonna be worried about this. You're gonna drive for 100,000 miles just to replace it, take a new one, and just don't worry about none of this crap. I had this lady the other day I was at Jiffy Lube. I always do the oil change at Jiffy Lube.
Dude, I heard that was the worst idea.
I know. But it's cheap, it's fast. I just go there, walk
But
in. Boom, boom.
they're not properly trained.
Yeah, I know.
They're not certified.
I know. But it's cheap.
Wow.
And I don't drive the cars for more than a year. I was switching cars, so I'm like...
I'm
We'll see
surprised
what's
you
gonna
get your
happen.
oil change.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I get probably 2 oil change every year. But that's just the way I treat my cars. But okay, so I had this lady over there going there, like it was this, like she was like 80 probably, and she was like complaining about how they changed her brakes. Like she was like, I paid $600 to replace to take out the brakes pads and install new brake pads. Okay, that's the easiest thing to do, man. I don't know if you
I
guys
know. It's
Yeah.
so
You ever
expensive.
Okay, she paid $600, and they changed like a line, right? And right now the brake pedal is all the way down there for her to brake. It's not like before. She said she used to have like height, so she wouldn't have to like extend her legs so much.
They didn't bleed the system.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't. And I told the guys like, and when I see these old ladies, like, my God, she's gonna have a heart attack right here, because she's like trying to yell, trying to fight, because she's like, you feel so like you don't know what to do. They're not listening to me. They think I'm crazy. I'm old, and I'm like, whenever she sat down, I go sit next to her, and I'm like, ma'am, what's going on? So she started explaining to me. I was like, I'm like, okay, let's pretend you're my mom. Okay, I'm gonna be taking care of you. I'm gonna be defending your.
Really?
Outside. Yeah. So I'm gonna be like, whatever they, like I know what's going on. So they call her to go outside. So I'm like, okay, so what's going on? Why you haven't fixed this? And I tell them the only thing you have to do is like unscrew the. It's like there's air on the system, or there's something missing on the system. So they have to pump and make sure the pedal is high, like that is something simple to fix, but they didn't know what they were doing. So I'm like, that's everything she's asking for, like she paid $600. There's a lot of money just to replace some brakes, And you're making this lady way over. She's like, I've been waiting over here for 3 hours. Like, and I'm like, oh my god. So I finally got them to take the car to a shop. So they were like, we're gonna take this car to a shop, and I was like, okay. So
that's a huge red flag when your shop has to take their car to a shop.
To a different shop, yeah, or to someone that they're more specific about this. And I give her the lady love. It was hard for me to find a mechanic because you try different people till you actually find somebody that's kind of like fair on the price. He actually does what he said he's gonna do.
Yeah.
And it actually comes to your house, and I was like, man, if you need to, fix something, if they don't want to do it, just go this guy. He's a good, honest guy, and like it's hard to find a good, honest mechanic.
And she was like, is he a hardworking American? Is he a hardworking American? What do you mean, ma'am? Is he a hardworking American? What do you mean? Is that motherfucker white? I don't want no brown guy coming and fixing my car.
No, she was.
What if she said that?
She had a she was from Venezuela. She was an old lady from Venezuela, but she lived here for 40 years. She was more American than Venezuelan.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah. So that's a story that happened at Jiffy Lube like 2 weeks ago. Probably like a month.
That's pretty
ago.
basic though, to like bleed a brake system.
Bro, they don't know shit, bro.
Yeah.
They hire people off the street and they train them how to change oil. It's the most dangerous place to take your car because if something goes wrong, like if they leave the thing unplugged, they have insurance for that shit. And what they do is they give you a refurbished engine. So they don't have to pay for technicians. They're paying somebody off the street. They certified, and all they do is oil, like simple stuff, oil change and brakes. But these guys are not mechanics. They're fucking idiots. So
they're certified.
They're certified, man. They got their certification, baby.
That's crazy.
They watch the videos.
I mean, I never go to like Jiffy Lube or any of that anyway. But
I go sometimes, but it's always like.
I mean, changing your oil is so simple. Like,
yeah, but if you leave the thing loose,
why would? No, you're not gonna leave it loose.
No, like yourself. I'm talking about like if you take it to Jiffy Lube.
Yeah.
If they leave like the filter loose or the plug loose, or they leave the ring around the filter.
O-ring.
Yeah. I had a BMW, and the BMW, the oil filter is kind of on top.
Yep.
And
same with my car.
Yeah, so you have to remove it from the top, and I think it's the opposite way. Instead of tightening it, you have to do the opposite. I think.
Not mine, but
No?
it might be on some of them. Yeah.
You have to reach.
And
around.
they were.
You have to what?
You have to do the reach around.
It's like lefty loosey, righty tighty.
It will be the opposite of that.
You gotta reach behind.
So it'd be lefty tighty, righty loosey.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I
was being.
So this guy was like tightening.
Yeah, you failed anyway.
So this guy was tightening it instead of making it loose.
What a fucking idiot! And
when you tie something too much, he breaks the gaskets and he breaks all this stuff. So I'm looking at this guy at the window every time. I'm standing there. They had like a glass window.
You took the BMW to Jiffy Lube?
I did.
Wow. You wanted to fuck up.
So I'm looking at the guy, and I just go outside and I'm like, man, can I do it? Can you just let me do it? Because you're doing...
Because you're going to fuck it up.
Yeah, you're going to fuck...
Well, you just tell him it's the other way.
Well, I tell him, I don't know. I was like, let me just do this. And I just actually did it. I got it loose, and I was like, okay, just go. If they tie something, that's the other thing you got to like...
Dude, and those, they don't require much tightening either. And like, I see people with breaker bars and shit. And
yeah.
Oh my God.
Like... No, not that much.
And like some of them are plastic too.
Yes, they are plastic.
So if you tighten that too much, it's gonna crack. Yeah.
So I was like, this guy, and I called the manager. I was like, look, man, your employees like gonna break the gasket. They don't have like an oil leak, and I don't know, but you like BMW? I'm not a big fan of BMW. I only had like 2 BMWs.
Which ones did you have?
335i. Convertible, I think it was 320ai. I think it's a convertible.
It's a slow car.
Why are you going so fast?
And it was
Why would you have a BMW?
because you want to be.
No, I had
because
like
you're
3
pretentious.
BMWs.
BMWs are drivers' cars, man.
BMWs are pretentious, bro.
And well, the ones I got, they had like high mileage. Well,
Like, look at
78
me.
miles, 78,000 miles.
They're drivers' cars. I'll let you drive mine when I get it back, if I ever get it back.
Let's see what happens over
They
here.
had the 335i and what?
Well, and they just have oil leaks.
Yeah.
They 3 cars that I had, they were having oil leaks. Maybe because I'm taking my car to Jiffy Lube.
We figure it out.
Yeah.
I just putting
Maybe.
those things together right now, man.
Makes sense. I never change the oil, but when I do, I take it to the shittiest possible place. Nothing could go wrong. Nothing could go wrong. Dude,
Freaking BMW plays with car, man.
BMWs and Mercedes is like, why is everything so goddamn expensive?
The
It's
parts are
like
better.
you want to get windshield wipers is like $250. Oh my god. You want to get
Okay. All right. One, I would never recommend buying an older BMW if you don't know how to work on cars, right? Because you're gonna go bankrupt.
but the parts are expensive either way.
No, really.
Big money wasted. That's like what's stand for?
Break my wallet.
Oh, break my wallet.
Well,
Big money wasted.
well, you know why it is, man, because do you understand this concept? Let me teach you something.
Can't wait.
There are stores out there, okay? Clothing stores in which the price of an underwear is $300. And the only reason is that so expensive is because they don't want the uber rich wants to keep the commoners from having the same clothes as they have. You understand that this is a thing, right?
Probably.
So there's a car that is, yeah, there's some engineering to it, blah, 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 this and that. But we're talking about, like, people,
You do realize
the elite wants to feel.
You do realize I've
powerful.
owned many cars, including Jeeps, Nissans, Mazdas.
Yeah, but you continue to own a BMW, which
Why?
is
Why do you think
He likes
because you're an
it.
elitist.
Because I'm trying to beat down the poor man. Is it?
You're trying to be like, oh, look at me, I have this cool thing. You cannot have it.
No, man. It's
You
because they're
brown
great
people- Nah, I'm
cars.
just kidding with you.
They're
I
great
just
cars.
knew that would get to you because you don't want to be that guy. I'm sure
I'm
they're
passionate, man. I'm passionate.
What about
my car.
Mercedes Benz? What is your thought about
Oh, they're
Mercedes?
fucking-
Why is Mercedes
I
bad?
hate Mercedes.
Why?
Because that is a car where it doesn't make sense at all to buy.
Wow, all of a sudden it
because
makes
right,
sense.
because they're not a driver's car. For one, like the dynamics of them, it's just gutless. You know,
What?
they are very comfortable cars, right?
Are they not fast?
No, they can be, but mostly in a straight line. Like the handling dynamics.
Oh, I
like,
see.
you know.
So the way I kind of see a brand, is it brands? On cars you say brands?
Brands.
A Benz.
No, brands, like different type of.
Oh, brands.
brands.
Oh,
yeah.
brand? You said that on cars too?
Yeah.
Um,
Mercedes Benz, yes.
So, okay, you got Mercedes Benz. It's like for the way I see it's like old
Don't say
white
it.
people.
Oh my god, I thought you were gonna say something.
BMWs, young people, they love BMWs.
Young people love BMWs.
Buick, and Cadillac,
Who do like Buick? The old people.
black people.
No, dude.
Well,
Mexicans,
I'd say
Mexicans, Toyota,
I gotta tell you,
Toyota.
dude, I'm Colombian.
White girls, Jeeps.
It's so true. So true.
Audi, expensive, like an old white lady that has a lot of money. You know,
What about Range Rovers? That's the old white lady.
you know the Range Rover is.
And then Teslas, all those pretentious motherfuckers over
Dude,
in
Teslas
Western
that they
Parkway.
think they
I think the Tesla is the best car ever.
futuristic.
You burning fossil fuels, bro. Burning fossil fuels. Nah, the Tesla.
Yeah, let me go spend $100,000 to.
Well, Tesla, like I saw Teslas right now
They start
for
at 30.
$30,000.
They start.
Yeah,
at
the Model S is it? Which? Oh no, the
no,
Model 3. The Model 3.
Older, no, I'm saying like older cars, Teslas, like
you're-
in 2016 or 2015. I don't know when.
Well,
was the
you know
first one.
why? Because that battery's gonna be a bitch to replace.
In a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, so they're going for so cheap. So I'm thinking, most of the times I buy a car, I'm thinking, I was like, would I waste all my money here? Or, where's my money going to go? Would I be able to get money back? And most of the time you buy a car, you lose money.
Yeah.
But I kind of find a way to kind of live my life. And instead of losing money, at least I got even by just buying it at an auction.
Hey.
But, no, after driving for a year or two. And so on Tesla, like, they spending $80,000, $70,000. And after 4 years, like 2016, it was like 3 years ago.
The battery doesn't go back.
That was $40,000.
No, but if they made it to the auction, it's because they got water damage
I won't buy
hurt or something. It's not that you're not talking about normal depreciation of a car.
Well, no, that was normal. No, I'm not saying like a $30,000 car at the auction. $30,000 car at a dealership.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, the Teslas are the best. I love Teslas.
But how would you feel if you let's say you haven't even you get a $70,000 car, you get a 5-year loan on it, right? You paying every month. You finish paying the car that's
Hey,
like your shit.
I paid $20. I paid $100 for this meal and I ate it. Now I'm gonna poop it out. What kind of life are you living? Not everything's an investment, buddy.
Okay, I know. But
Some things you just
you
drive.
just compare about food, man.
Oh, I bought my
course
shoes. My
shit.
shoes, man. I bought them for $100. I'm gonna try to sell them right now. I can only sell them for $10.
Well, I'm not.
There's certain things that are
things that are
disposable.
very expensive.
I know the cars is
I don't care
hard
about
because
shoes.
cars are the most expensive thing that is going to depreciate like shit. And you have found a good loophole because you're kind of getting them when they're depreciated. But I want a Tesla, man. I want to fly.
Go find a flooded Tesla.
Dude, electrocute myself to success. I just want to can you imagine like a self-driving Tesla that's like all twitchy and shit? Because it's like been wet.
Yeah.
It's like driving into the fucking mailboxes and shit. But
The
you
thing
still
I
make
would-
it.
The thing I would hate about getting a Tesla is like you try to you open the hood, you open the trunk. I was like, what the fuck is the
Where's the
engine?
engine?
at? How can I fix this, man?
What kind of sick joke is this?
You definitely gotta
Or-
take it to,
You have a dead battery.
Yo,
How do you jump it?
and then you have to take out all the seats. Yeah, how do you show them that?
what happens if you stick a fork in a Tesla? Do you get electrocuted? Like a child? Zzz.
How does it start
Yo, I
raining?
saw
How does
this-
it start raining? You
How
drive
does
in the car.
how does the air conditioning work? Because like normal air conditioners require like the compressor, right? So how do they do that?
I don't fucking know.
They,
Why wouldn't
they
it have
do.
a
They do have a
compressor?
compressor on the front. No, something. Yeah, they do have a.
Bro. It has a
They-
compressor, man. They
Yes,
figure it
no,
out,
They
man.
have a compressor and
They have a fucking space program, okay? They can figure out the AC on the fucking car.
No. I'm just.
But I'm just saying, if you guys want to be progressive and woke like I am, you want a Tesla.
So actually, that's another good. Let's talk about wokeness. Have we ever talked about that?
no, you're
Wokeness.
Wokeness.
explain wokeness to Elias because I don't even know if I can explain it.
So,
Go ahead. Sorry.
so wokeness is basically like the far left's version of like MAGA, Make America Great Again, basically.
Like the opposite
Okay.
of a redneck.
Yeah.
I gotta get a drink. I'm stuck.
So
Sorry.
the objective of being woke is to be as left as you possibly can.
Okay.
To the point that you start being a nuisance.
To the point where you're basically like hating yourself, right? Especially if you're white, because no, like seriously, like
This one Sorry.
so. Yeah, I'll take one. So, imagine this, right? You're in college. You're like this white man. You're going to college. You're super liberal, super liberal, right? And of course, you're in a very diverse environment. I mean, you have, Argentinians, you have Colombians, you have blacks, you have, Mexicans and so forth, Asians. But that's your version of liberal is not good enough for these people, right? You need to monitor everything you say to conform to what these people want you to say, so that way they're not offended, right?
Oh my god, that's so hard to do, man.
Right.
Like watching yourself like all the time, like oh my god,
Right.
man.
But no, these are the people that are so. So what I have a problem with wokeness, being as liberal as I am, but when I have a problem with wokeness is when you what, because equality is a huge part of wokeness, right? I've thought about this before. So you want to be equal. Equality, it's a huge part of wokeness, right? So men and women are equal. What the fuck? Are you trying to choke me? Men and women are equal. Are you doing this on purpose, you cocksucking motherfucker? I'm not trying to make actually a really good point here.
Why are you insulting, man?
I can tell.
Because you guys are fucking with me right now.
How are we fucking with you?
Anyways,
There you go.
you're trying to be woke and you're trying to say equality is important. Which equality is a problem, right? I would agree in a lot of scenarios is a problem because the white man is bringing me down. Anyways. the problem is when they start saying things that go against science. That's where I have a problem with it. When they're trying to say like male and women, when we're talking about physiological things like women are just as strong as men, well, mentally and yet they could achieve just as much. But when we're talking about like pure strength, they are going to be weaker.
Yeah.
Just because of the certain thing, and that's a problem.
Okay.
That's too woke for me.
Like that to me, like sure, why not? But also, people make mistakes, you know?
Right.
Like, why are we going around policing what everybody says? Obviously, there are bigger issues we need to be focusing on, like white supremacy, right?
Well, they made mistakes.
Obviously, the white supremacists don't make mistakes if they are actively promoting white supremacy, right? But
Definitely. No mistakes there.
yeah, no mistake.
Hey, how would you feel about a white supremacist that is reformed?
Okay, look, you're deviating. I need
I'm
you to
just
say,
asking
I need
for-
you to focus for me. Okay.
I'm asking you a question. Well, anyways, go ahead, finish your point.
So, but like that's my like we need to be more forgiving of people because like you're never going to be able to win people over to your side unless you're accepting, unless you're a big tent. And like part of being accepting is understanding that people are going to make mistakes. And that's fine. You can't be angry at people all the time. And that's what wokeness has become. You need to be angry at people who make mistakes.
Yeah, totally disagree.
You want to be upset all the time?
What?
What do you do?
No, one of the things that I don't know. Let me take it to the church. Let's say I have a group of youth, right? And I teach them something like, look, you gotta wait till marriage to get to have sex, and you teach them a bunch of moral things that the Bible teaches.
What about anal?
And but then you're not gonna get offended just because you tell somebody. It's like, look, man, I tell you not to do this. Like, why you come over here? Like, you just you make me waste my time. Like, I tell you not to go sleep without. It's like, okay, I did my part. If you want to take it, you take it. If you don't want to take it, like, like, that's fine. It's your life. You're not deciding what you really want to do, Because if not, you're taking everything so personal.
Yeah.
And you will want to probably fight everybody. It was like,
Yeah.
you start, like, and that's, I don't think that's right.
It's not right, and it definitely doesn't advance liberal values, right? You're being a pain in the neck, and no one wants to ever talk to you.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much what happens, and like it's.
So this is a movement that's going on right now.
Well, it's the biggest problem on college campuses, especially, right?
Okay.
They're too woke. They're too aware. Where like everything's a fucking problem. You can't even say anything because. It's like, oh my god, dude, and even liberals like they start attacking each other, and it's just hurting.
Yeah, it's
them.
a circular firing squad.
Like you can't even fucking say anything at all because it's like you didn't use the right pronoun. You didn't call me the right thing. It's like what the fuck, dude. Like now one of the big
that's happening in Argentina. There is a way to say el presidente. You said the president, but when you say el presidente, you're talking about a male president. You're not talking about a female president. So the president, you talk about the male president. You don't say la presidenta. La presidenta will be a female president. So in English you don't have that problem. But right now they're coming up with different type of like a word is like I can't remember. It says la le is lo presidente. It's like it's not a woman and it's not a guy.
Yeah.
You're just saying president, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you just said, oh, it's a male president, why you just going to say it's a male president? It can be a woman president, you know?
Yeah.
So people has been using lo president, you know, instead of saying el or la, you know, they're just saying something different.
Man, like,
And I really think that's very stupid.
yeah, I mean, it's just I feel like it's just like too much. Yeah, I feel you, bro.
You know?
Like, is it really helping? Is it really important that we?
Yeah.
I mean, I also understand the gender specific shit and like subconscious. I don't know.
I do
It
too.
seems insane.
No, don't get me wrong. Like, that's important, right? But it's also important to understand that it's a new concept, and people are not innately going to do that yet.
Or
right?
to accept it
takes
right
time.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. It probably, you know, like, I guess,
Next generation will be talking all crazy. We don't even know what they're gonna be saying.
or they probably
No,
won't be
like-
saying anything.
Be like completely quiet.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I see here, like, I have, you know, like, you have neighbors. Do you talk much to your neighbors? Not like that much.
I talk to them.
I guess college campus is more a lot of interaction with other people and, you know, things like that. But most of the people, what they're doing, they're just walking from one class to another class. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like there's no reason to be talking. So they're probably not going to allow any talking in the campus. Walking from class to class.
Martine, you can't go
Where?
wherever that is.
Dude, I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I think the problem is these little fucking rappers that are coming up, like Little Sand, fucking everything up.
Well, everything gonna change.
Just kidding.
From, you know, before, like the first movement when they start putting curse words on music, that was not allowed before.
And now everybody does it.
Now everybody curses some music,
Now
and
it's
that
on-
should have not been allowed.
Now it's on G105.
Yeah, and then they cursing and things on the music, like, and you listen to that.
Have you heard
Do
about?
you think that's right? I don't. They
I don't
shouldn't
know.
allow that stuff.
Yeah, they should, man. Fuck it. You know Lenny.
Fuck it.
You know Lenny Bruce. We couldn't be Lenny Bruce.
Because that gonna
Have you-
incentivate for violence.
Have you heard? No, man. You sound insane right now. You
Really?
sound woke. What are you gonna listen to a song, get all pissed off, and go beat somebody up?
Yeah.
And
probably.
if the cuss words was in there, you're like, oh, I'm totally cool. When they tried it, that's what Trump tried to say was violent video games. Remember that shit?
Yeah.
It's like, yo, we haven't talked about that since the 90s, man. I think we moved on from that. What happened? I forget what it was, but he was like, the violence video games are making me do it.
Oh, you know, it's like every
That was not
mass
long ago.
shooting we have every other day, you know? It's like it's all caused by video games.
Oh, yeah, like, no, don't get rid of guns. Just, don't restrict guns. It's just,
Yeah.
it's the violence video. It's
In
that
fact, sell more guns.
that new-
Sell more guns and ban the video games, and it'll solve
is
everything.
that fucking Call of Duty just
More
came out?
guns.
But
Safety word. Word.
excuse me.
Well, it's kind of true, man.
What?
The more guns out there, the safer you're gonna be.
Yeah, if everybody has one. But still, then, you know, like, if I get upset with you and I don't have a gun and I just beat you up and we beat each other up,
That would be good too.
but we wouldn't. But if we had guns, both of us, then we just fucking wipe each other from the face of the earth, and whoever is around us too. They're so powerful, man. They're just so powerful. With like Spider-Man said, man, with great power comes great responsibility.
Then he turned.
And then he went and put some spandex and ran out the window, whatever that means. Sure, it makes some sense. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's the violent video games. I don't know if it's the cousin. But I was gonna say Lenny. Do you know about Lenny Bruce, Elias?
No.
Lenny Bruce is one of the like original, like, stand-up comedians in New York that was disgusting. He would tell bad jokes, dirty jokes.
Okay.
And they would arrest him on the regular basis. And he
For show, for talking.
yeah, he'll go up in the show and he'll talk about sucking dick and all this shit back in the time which that was not cool.
Okay.
And they would like arrest him for like indecent. I don't know why they arrest him, but his view is like, I'm gonna do this for the future and like I want freedom of speech and whatever. And he was a pioneer, but he ended up getting arrested and dying of an overdose. So he never saw the fruits. He like literally sacrificed himself.
Wow, thank you. Who is this guy?
Lenny Bruce.
All right, let's do a minute of silence for Leonard Bruce.
Lenny Bruce, come on.
Have you heard of Lenny Bruce?
Ah, yeah, look into it. I just woke you guys up.
The lightning.
And you guys want to...
Well, the thing is, like, poor guy. He suffered so much for not keeping his mouth shut when he's supposed to keep his mouth shut.
But now he's immortalized. He's the Martin Luther King of stand-up comedian. I went to the Museum of Comedy in New York, and they have the Blue Room all the way down.
Okay.
And it's all the, like, dirty jokes and, like, bad words. Like, the 7 words you cannot say on TV.
What are the 7 words you cannot say on TV?
That was George Carlin that says, it's like, cock, bitch. Hold on, let me find it out.
George Carlin, man.
George Carlin was a...
legend.
Yeah. What is it? 7 words you can say on TV. Let's see. I think it was like cock, shot. It was just like, you know, bitch. All the words that you would think.
That's not recording, though.
It's
You
not
can-
going to be on the recording, but we can hear it, yeah.
Okay, so you
I
want
wish
me
I
to do-
could. I can't figure out how to do it. Oh, there you go.
Can't yell in the hospital a great deal, but what the hell? There are words that you can say, no problem. Topography!
Topography.
But there are some words that you can go to jail for. There are some words that we just have decided we will not say.
Dude, going to jail for saying a word.
Yeah.
But we're kind of regressing, dude. We're like going to the point that
went to jail?
there's so many words that you can't say because of being too woke.
Yeah.
But if you're with the bishop's wife at lunch, it's better not to ask for the goddamn lettuce. You know what I mean? It's just like we've decided there'll be some words we won't say all the time. And I was just trying to find out which words they were. For sure. All of them. I wanted a list. Because nobody gives you a list. That's the problem.
You can't fucking hear it on the thing. We'll just talk about it in a minute. We're listening to, if you're listening to the podcast, go to George Carlin 7 words you can't say on TV. It's we're exactly on minute 122.
Oh, Ma, that's enough trial and error, huh? Please, Ma, give me a list, huh? All right, you're 6 years old now. And here's the list of words your dad and I don't ever want to hear you say. Oh, hey, thanks, Ma. Boy, that's going to save me an ass kicking or two. Yeah, you never know what's going to be on
I thought he would recite them.
He does.
always somebody else's list. You didn't make that up. Somebody told you that shit. So you better not say that. So you better. And you don't know what's going to be on their list. People's list even
How high do you think he is right now?
got a list,
I don't think he's high. He looks pretty sober. He looks so young, man. Most of the stand-ups I've seen, he's old as fuck.
Yeah.
Damn, man, getting old's hard. Now you can say a lot of them. Now you can say that. That's it. Shit, fuck, cock, suck a motherfucking. Say it. You said it too quick. We can say piss. You can say piss. I didn't know piss was bad. Shit, fuck, cunt. You can totally say tits now. Twat. Shit, cocksucker, motherfucker, taka, and tits. Anyways, that's the 7 words you can't say on TV.
Wonderful.
But now you can say,
I don't know if I'm ever gonna be on TV.
man, not with your vocabulary. You said the N word way too many times, and
And I'm in a podcast.
and you're on the TV. You might make it on TV for saying it. You might you can't say the F word either. You say faggot anymore. If I said it, we're gonna get canceled.
So
you're
right
gonna
there
burn
is
in
like
hell.
freedom of speech doesn't come in there, right?
Well, because it's getting limited by, I guess for a good reason, but you can't because you don't want to be offensive. But it's funny how
But
that's
people
like,
get offended for so
it's
many
funny how
stupid
that's, like,
things.
kind of turning around, you know, like it's almost like because you want to be respectful, you are limited.
So, but there's that type of society that is educated, and this is the type of society that's not educated. So, on waken, is it waken? Woke?
Wokeness.
The wokeness? It's like, oh, you gotta have the type of society that is being educated. They can use the proper words, and then you have the other society that, you know, they might don't have the proper words to talk, even though they want to be proper, they can't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so what you gotta get offended with them? You gotta like don't like them? Or,
You don't mean it. What
Yeah.
you're gonna?
It's not like I'm not trying to offend nobody. This is the only way I can express myself. English is my second language. I'm sorry.
Well, right now people like to be outraged. You get a lot of attention for being outraged, a lot of positive attention for being outraged. I feel like
Yep. Especially on Twitter.
you get like, oh man, I fucking, you know. But yeah,
Do you have a Twitter?
I do.
Okay.
I do it mostly just to check out video games that come out. I don't get involved with anything like that. I do follow Trump, and is incredible the shit that he says on Twitter.
It's
It's
bad.
unbelievable,
Oh my god.
dude. Like, what in the fuck? This is the
This
president.
is our president. Yep.
It is. I mean,
Trump 2020.
Oh my god. Elias is going for it. No, man. Look, I mean,
Okay.
I'll look it up right now.
I
What
definitely
is-
don't want him to win.
the last shit that he said is probably outrageous. It always is. Attorney General. I don't know what this means. He just likes to like say things are going well for his like the stock market. All three hit all time history high. Just like this bold statements that the stock market has met a historical high. I wonder if it's you are so lucky to have me as a president. Oh my god, he said you're so lucky to have me as a president. He says that.
We all are.
Who says that shit though? Who says that shit? Like,
He is so far removed from reality, and like he's just trying to brainwash his
oh my god.
his base. You know, it's sad.
Hey man, you're so lucky to have me as a friend. You're so lucky that I'm in your life right now. You too, especially you. You need me. Let's see.
I feel like you're like the left's version of Amaga.
Thanks to many of here today. My administration, Republican Congress, has now confirmed 157 federal judges who will uphold our Constitution as written, all capital. Profoundly historic milestone of truly momentous achievement. What the fuck is he talking about?
All capital. I can't believe it.
I also, I love it how he like types one and then it doesn't have enough space, so he keeps going in the other one. You like they only give you so much for a reason, bitch.
How many likes he has? This is show?
Likes? Oh, 32K. Oh, the comments on this
Do
shit.
you have like, is it like Facebook like and dislikes? I never had Twitter account, so I don't know.
Yeah, they can see. You can see the
How many
comments.
likes and how many unlikes?
I want to see. No, you can see. So it doesn't have unlikes,
Okay.
but
You
it
either
does.
like
It does have
or like
comments, so you can see comments here. So it's always like. So like it's always the comments are always hilarious. Like people get mad. And you can kind of like spend like a lot of time just looking at the comments. I love you, Donald.
And he'd be like, I love you, Donald.
Oh my God. I don't know how much of this Mexico I can take. Dude, this guy's out of his fucking mind.
That's funny.
See, this are the comments to his. So normally
To
the,
one of the comments.
the comments
to
is
one of the
to one of the
tweets.
things he said, which normally it gets really disgusting sometimes. What he says doesn't make any sense. Like he'll just say like, "What a beautiful day! You should love me. I'm doing great." Or they're like, "Look at this fake news. Look at this guy talking shit." And
On the his podcast.
yeah, oh, dude. Like I am the best impeachment scam. 95% approval rating. 95. Wow, that's a lot. I want to see this. I want to see this fucking. They put a Hispanic guy in there.
yeah.
Come on, dude. Oh, then put a black guy. No way.
And a Chinese guy. And
Oh wow, his paycheck is bigger because of Donald Trump.
And a Colombia woman.
This is disgusting.
Well, you gotta advertise yourself, man.
So ridiculous, dude. What's this over
Well,
here?
you know, it's sad because that shit works. You know?
This is insane. That guy's voted twice. Oh, Lord. Oh, man. You know, there's a good chance we have another Donald Trump for another 4 years. Because it's just... People are just too fucking stupid. And we talked about this the other day. The Democratic Party, if they put another fucking... What is his name? The vice president. I'm sorry, he's not gonna.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden's not gonna make it. It ain't gonna make it. It has to be. It has to be somebody. They have just too much ammunition. People are too dumb. It has to be something crazy, dude. It has to be somebody that people who are not involved feel compelled to go and vote, and that's what it really takes. And most people, a large percentage.
Most people want Andrew Yang, right?
No, I don't think so. I think Andrew Yang is who I want, but most people, I think Bernie Sanders has a better chance. Bernie can do it, man. Bernie. I think we should end the podcast at this point.
How long have we been going?
1 hour and 30. We're rambling for way too long. What do you think?
Yeah, man.
All right,
Call it
guys.
a night.
Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the ramble. We're waking up, society. Waking up. We're woke. See ya. Wouldn't wanna be ya.